Then we will discuss exchange rates in practice. 2.2.1 Exchange rate layers, fixed versus floating. Economists group different patterns of exchange rate behavior into fixed and flexible. Fixed exchange rate layer are those in which a country's exchange rate fluctuates in a narrow range against some base currency over a sustained period, usually a year or longer. A country's exchange rate can remain rigidly fixed for long periods only if the government intervenes in the foreign exchange market in one or both countries. Floating exchange rate layer are those in which a country's exchange rate fluctuates in a wide range, and the government makes no attempt to fix it against any base currency. Appreciations and depreciations may occur from year to year, each month, by the day, or every minute. 2.2.2 Recent exchange rate experiences. As shown in Figure 2.2, the US dollar is in a floating relationship with the yuan, the pound, and the Canadian dollar. The US dollar is subject to a great deal of volatility because it is in a free float. The Danish krone provides a contrast, an example of a fixed exchange rate in a developed country. There is only a tiny variation around this rate, no more than plus or minus 2%. This type of fixed layer is known as a band. Figure 2.2 shows exchange rates of three currencies against the US dollar and three against the euro. The euro rates begin in 1999 when the currency was introduced. The yen, pound, and Canadian dollar all float against the US dollar. The pound and the yen float against the euro. The Danish krone is fixed against the euro. The vertical scale ranges by a factor of 2 on all charts. Countries' exchange rates in developing countries can be much more volatile than those in developed countries. India is an example of a middle ground, somewhere between a fixed rate and a free float, called a managed float, as known as a dirty float, or a policy of limited flexibility. Dramatic depreciations, such as those of Thailand and South Korea in 1997, are called exchange rate crises, and they are more common in developing countries than in developed countries. Figure 2.3 shows exchange rates in developing countries show a wide variety of experience and a greater volatility. Pegging is common but is punctured by periodic crises. You can see the effects of these crises in graphs for Thailand, South Korea, and Argentina. Rates that are unpegged may show some flexibility. Some rates crawl gradually. Dollarization can occur. The vertical scale range by a factor of 3 on the upper charts and by a factor of 10 on the lower charts. Exchange rates in Latin American countries are even more volatile. Colombia presents an example of a different kind of fixed exchange rates. Here, the authorities did not target the level of the Colombian peso, but allowed it to steadily depreciate at an almost constant rate for several years from 1996 to 2002. This type of fixed arrangement is called a claw. If the exchange rate follows a simple trend, it is a crawling peg. If some variation about the trend is allowed, it is termed a crawling band. Under a currency union or monetary union, there is some form of transnational structure, such as a single central bank or monetary authority that is accountable to the member nations. The most prominent example of a currency union is the Eurozone. On dollarization, one country unilaterally adopts the currency of another country. The reasons for this choice can vary: a small size, poor record of managing monetary affairs, or if people simply stop using the national currency and switch a message to an alternative. 2.2.3 Exchange rate layers of the world. Figure 2.4 shows an IMF classification of exchange rate layers around the world, which allows us to see the prevalence of different layer types from fixed to floating. The classification covers 192 economics for the year 2008, and layers are ordered from the most rigidly fixed to the most freely floating. 7 countries use an hard peg called a currency board, a type of fixed layer that has a special legal and procedural rules designed to make the peg harder, that is, more durable. Then we will discuss 2.3 The market for foreign exchange, day by day and minute by minute. Exchange rates the world over are set in foreign exchange market, or forex or forex market, which, like any market, is a collection of private individuals, corporations, and some public institutions that buy and sell. The forex market is not an organized exchange. Trade is conducted over the counter. The forex market is massive and has grown dramatically in recent years. In April 2007, the global forex market traded $3,210 billion per day in currency. The 3 major foreign exchange centers are located in the United Kingdom, the United States, and Japan. Other important centers for forex trade, including Hong Kong, Paris, Singapore, Sydney, and Zurich. Thanks to time zone difference, there is not a moment in the day when foreign exchange is not being traded somewhere in the world. 2.3.1 The spot contract. The simplest forex transaction is a contract for the immediate exchange of one currency for another between 2 parties. This is known as a spot contract. The exchange rate for this transaction is often called the spot exchange rate. Technology today reduces the risk of one party failing to deliver on its side of the transaction. Default risk or settlement risk is essentially zero. The spot contract is the most common type of trade and appears in almost 90% of all forex transactions. 2.3.2 Transaction cost. The difference between the buy at and sell for prices is called the spread. The spread is smaller for larger transactions. Spreads are an important example of market frictions or transaction cost. These frictions create a wedge between the price paid by the buyer and the price received by the seller. Spreads are particularly important for any macroeconomic analysis of the forex market, but for most macroeconomic analysis, the assumption is that transaction cost spreads in market are low and can be ignored. 2.3.3 Derivatives. Figure 2.5 shows recent trends in the spot and forward rates in the dollar-euro market. The forward rate tends to track the spot rate fairly closely. In addition to the spot contract, there are many other related forex contracts, including forwards, swaps, futures, and options. Collectively, all these related forex contracts are termed derivatives. The forex derivatives market is small relative to the entire global forex market. Foreign exchange derivatives. There are many derivative contracts in the foreign exchange market, of which the following are the most common. Forwards. A forward contract differs from a spot contract is that the two parties make the contract today, but the settlement date for the delivery of the currencies is in the future or forward. The time to delivery or maturity varies. However, because the price is fixed as of today, the contract carries no risk. Swaps. A swap contract combines a spot sale of foreign currency with a forward repurchase of the same currency. This is a common contract for counterparties dealing in the same currency, paying over and over again. Converting two transactions reduces transaction cost. Futures. A futures contract is a promise that the two parties holding the contract will deliver currencies to each other at some future date at a pre-specified exchange rate, just like a forward contract. Unlike the forward contract, however, futures contracts are standardized, mature at certain regular days, and can be traded on organized futures exchange. Options. An option provides one party, the buyer, with the right to buy or sell a currency in exchange for another's at a pre-specified exchange rate at a future date. The buyer is under no obligation to trade, and in particular, will not exercise the option if the spot price on the expiration date turns out to be more favorable. Derivatives allow investors to engage in hedging, risk avoidance, and speculation, risk taking. So hedging is, for example, hedging. As chief financial officer of a US firm, you expect to receive payment of £1 million in 90 days for exports to finance. The current spot rate is $1.2 per euro. Your firm will incur losses on the deal if the dollar weakens to less than $1.1 per euro. You advise that the firm buy £1 million in call options on dollars at a rate of $1.15 per euro, ensuring that the firm's euro receipts will sell for at least this rate. This locks in a minimal profit even if the spot rate falls below $1.15 per euro. This is hedging. Let's look at the example of the speculation. The market currently prices 1 year euro futures at $1.3 per euro. But you think the dollar will weaken to $1.43 per euro in the next 12 months. If you wish to make a bet, you would buy these futures. And if you are proved right, you will realize a 10% of profit. Any level above $1.3 will generate a profit. If the dollar is at a below 1.3 a year from now, however, your investment in futures will be a total loss. This is speculation. 2.3.4 Private actors. The key actors in the forex market are the traders. Most forex traders work for commercial banks. In the bank trading is highly concentrated. About 3/4 of all forex market transactions globally are handled by just 10 banks. The vast majority of forex transactions are profit-driven in the bank traders. The vast majority of forex transactions are profit-driven in the bank trades, and it is the exchange rate for these trades that underlie quoted market exchange rates. Some corporations may trade in the market if they are engaged in extensive transactions, either to buy inputs or sell products in foreign markets. Similarly, some non-bank financial institutions, such as mutual fund companies, may favor setting up their own foreign exchange trading operations. 2.3.5 Government actions. A less drastic action taken by the authorities is to let the private market for foreign exchange function, but to fix or control forex prices in the market through intervention. A job typically given to a nation's central bank. To maintain a fixed exchange rate, the central bank must stand steady. The central bank must stand ready to buy or sell its own currency in exchange for the base foreign currency at a fixed price. In practice, keeping some foreign currency reserves may be costly and uncertain, as resources are tied up in foreign currency and reserves may run out.